Good morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday, June 10th to everybody. It's your host, Spin Doc, here with another edition of the Spin Zone brought to you on behalf of the Daily Bread Network. So, to get started, before we roll here, please, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the Daily Bread Network on YouTube to get access to all of our content. Ton of baseball stuff, obviously, right now. Got some NFL stuff coming up very, very soon, leading into training camp, etc. I'm going to have a whole bunch of fantasy football preview content coming out just after training camps start and leading all the way up to the start of the season. If you aren't already, please follow me at Spin Doc Sports. Like the video, give it a share, give it a follow. We do appreciate the love, and also you have extra incentive to follow or to like and to share the video now or the post on X now, because this is the first to last day. This is day 3 of the contest. So remember, all you have to do, there will be, I'll say this at the end of the show as well, there will be 2 posts on X, one by myself, one from my account, and one from Sosa Picks. All you have to do, like and share both. Each like and share gets you 1 entry into a free drawing. To put everything into an online random name picker. On Thursday, I will be drawing 10 random names, and all 10 will receive a free 2-week subscription to Win the Day VIP. I talked about yesterday, before we get on with pictures and everything from yesterday. Talked yesterday about how, if you're going to pimp your wins, you got to pimp your losses. And the weekend wasn't the prettiest for Win the Day VIP. We're back in business. We always get back in business. 2-1 yesterday. And leans actually, I think, went 3-1, the other leans that I had. But either way, officially 2-1, still operating close to 58 to 60% and up 16.55 units. And before anybody thinks, or maybe somebody said in the chat already, but we did play sale in VIP. So I know there's a lot of debate about that, about do we play the strikeouts, do we play the runs, do we play the hits? In the end, based on lineup construction, and this is why, lesson number 1, why I always wait for lineups. Based on lineup construction and line move after that, I did decide to go with the strikeouts. We did hit that. Chris Sale absolutely dominated, 11 strikeouts. This is going to probably become a theme where power lefties are going to be just, they're just guys who just can torch the Brewers. The Brewers did decide to go with 3 lefties. That ended up, I actually thought they were going to go analytical. I thought they might have gone righties. But Chris Sale did absolutely dominate, cash, big time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm hearing that there's some audio issues. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Hopefully, if that sounds better, does that sound better for everybody? I think I know the problem. For everybody. Hopefully that sounds better. Can somebody, if somebody in the chat wants to just shout out if that does sound better from an audio perspective. All right, good. Yep. Sorry about that, everybody. Had audio running through my headphones. So, all right, let's start this over again. So, brought to you on behalf of the Daily Bread Network. I'm your host, Spin Doc. Thank you for everybody in the chat saying it's better. So yeah, I had my audio running on the I had my audio running through my headphones through my Beats headphones for some reason. So apologies for the technical difficulties, but let's just start by talking about Chris Sale. Chris Sale absolutely dominated the Brewers. Striking out 11. And we talked a lot yesterday about, do we do the strikeouts? Do we do the earned runs? Do we do the hits? I mean, the line said Chris Sale was going to dominate. But in the end, after lineup release and after I saw the line movement after lineup release, and this is why I always wait for it, is that we did end up playing the strikeouts in VIP, and we did cash that. The other thing that we cashed on was, I see Roger talking about it in the chat right now, was Zach
Wheeler with strikeouts. One thing that I did go back and research, because for those that didn't know, Wheeler was on paternity leave. And so he did miss a start and hadn't pitched in about 10 days. But I did go back and look, and since joining the Phillies, and this is what ultimately led me to do it, and we played it officially in VIP as well, is that since 2021, when he joined the Phillies, Zach Wheeler has had 4 games. Now, these are all post All-Star break, but still, when he's had 8+ days off. In those games, he has averaged 6.8 innings, 6.8 strikeouts, and thrown 104 pitches, walking, and with an average of 1 walk per game. So that past history, and this was, I got to give a shout out to Sharpie, who actually turned me on to this, because I was actually kind of wondering about, I'm like, okay, so he missed a start and he's been off for as many days. If you ever want to know, if you ever want to see how a pitcher is off of a longer rest and you don't have any past history to fall back on, is that just see how he pitches right after the All-Star break. Last start before, first start after, because that will give you an indication. So it's not a complete apples to apples comparison, but if you don't have any past history to draw on, the All-Star break is always a really, really good place to check. Wheeler has been dominant with the extra rest. I got into a little trouble yesterday. He struck out the side in the first inning. That was like I thought he was on pace. Like, Roger, I thought your ladder was on pace to cashing by a mile, because, oh baby, he struck out the side in the first inning, with the exception, and almost had a perfect inning with the exception of Tucker's home run. But Wheeler got him back because Tucker was number 7 for him. I got into a little trouble in the middle innings and kept throwing fastballs and sinkers. And the Cubs, so credit to Real Muto and to Wheeler. And this is why I love him so much as a pitcher, because in those middle innings, he was throwing a ton of fastballs and a ton of sinkers. And so, and the Cubs were really starting to catch up to that, and we're just poking them into the outfield and in a lot of cases for hits. And so Wheeler did change it up a little bit. He went off-speed stuff more. He went sweeper more, and that's ultimately what got him to 7. So a really, really good way for Wheeler to end. And so no ladder cash, but the regular line did cash as well. And also, sometimes you don't get it right. Sometimes you're a little off. And we talked about that yesterday, about how I'm not always right. And, like Yamamoto, I was a little bit off on, but sometimes you get it right. And I said yesterday, and I told VIP this, I said, Shane Baz is getting 5 strikeouts. And I see Chuck is in the chat. Chuck's been in VIP forever and ever. So Chuck can be my witness. I literally said Shane Baz is getting 5 strikeouts. I saw 5 from the line, saw 5 from the beginning. Even with the lineup change, and what did it for me, and this is something that would be the last thing I want to talk about before we kind of get on with the business for the day, is that when the lineup changed for the Red Sox last minute, because Weiler Abreu went on the IL, and they called up Anthony, who is their actually one of the top prospects in all baseball. And they put him in. It was weird because they called him up and he wasn't put in the lineup right away. And you're like, well, why would you call him up and not put him in the lineup? What are you going to call him up so you can watch from the dugout? No, you call your top prospect up so he can play. And they did, and they made the lineup change. And I said, I want to rerun Baz, because if the line shifted after that change, because they changed a whole bunch of things. They took out Narvaez and put in Connor Wong. That was really, really bad for Baz's strikeouts, because Wong is a contact guy in the zone, whereas Narvaez obviously is not. So they put in Anthony. Now their kid was a very high contact guy in the minors. And so would that translate was really the question. And what I saw was after that happened, the line moved against him. It moved against Baz and the juice on the under got worse. And what that told me was, if you're going to put a kid in who has never had a major league at bat before, even a good kid, and you're going to change your lineup like that last minute, what that told me was he ain't getting there. He ain't getting there. Now, in the first inning, it sure as hell looked like he was going to get there because he struck out the side on 12 pitches. But then after that, and this is what Shane Baz has done so many times, is that he'll just come out blazing. But because he throws so many fastballs, because he throws so many contact pitches in the zone, that after a few hitters, teams can catch up to it. And so, I feel for you if you did take the over, because I see Kid Keon saying, yeah, got pulled and only needed one more, because playing the under wasn't, I don't think anybody played the under, at least not in here, because unders on the Red Sox just is a like living completely dangerous at the moment. But the one thing to keep in mind though is that this Anthony kid, when he's in the lineup, now he probably will have his fair share of strikeouts, but he's been a high contact guy his whole career. He's got decent power, but what he's really got is he's got lightning fast bat speed and reflexes. And so this is a guy who is probably going to be a decent contact guy in the majors. So you can't just count on him for a strikeout. It's easy to pick on minor league kids. Oh, he's a minor league kid, he's in, but man, this kid has some really, really good bat speed, and he's got some really, really good reflexes. So just something to pay attention to. The last thing I want to talk about is just from a game perspective. If you didn't watch any of the Dodgers-Padres game, you missed a fun one. And it was a playoff atmosphere. First time they'd met since the postseason last year, I believe. And man, it was a fun atmosphere. A lot of runs, a lot of offense, a back and forth game. Personally, I had a ticket on Dodgers live in-game money line after they went down 6-5, and the Dodgers pulled it out in 10. And if this is going to be an indication of how this series is going to go, because we're going to talk about this game in just a little bit, because we got a pitcher going in that one. It was a really, really fun game. So for a Monday night with kind of, just a meh slate, not a lot of games, if you didn't watch that game, you missed a fun one, because there was that was a playoff, as close to a playoff atmosphere in June as you're going to get. All right. That being said, first off, thank you to everybody who hung with me, and thank you to everybody who stuck through the technical difficulties and pointed it out. I do appreciate it. Sorry about that. My headphones I always shut them down, but for some reason they didn't shut down today before, so the audio was running through that. So apologies, but let's go to the chat and then we'll get on with the business of the day. Good morning to you as well, Roger. Thank you as always for being here. Cover Kings, congrats on your Barrios cash yesterday. And thank you again for being here and for pointing out the audio stuff. And Cover Kings, I'll leave this up for a second, has 1 unit on Quinn Priester for the Brewers. Quinn Priester for the Brewers, under 15.5 outs, good morning to G Advent 12. Thank you for pointing that out. Roger, as I said, didn't cash the ladder on Wheeler, but still cashed the over. Mario, always with us. Good morning. I said he was in here. Chuck in the house. What is good to you, my guy? Thanks for being here. Mom Who Bets, happy Tuesday to you as well. Appreciate you. And like I said, Kid Keon, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Sorry about that. I know it was one more. We didn't play Boz at all. So like I said, I know, I think Sharpie did too, and a couple other people did. So like, I was cheering for you guys, but just something in it was off for me. But man, I would rather be wrong on something that I didn't. I would rather be wrong on something that I didn't play if it means you guys cash. Like if I have no stake in it at all, whatsoever, then all I want is for you guys to win and the books to lose. That's all I care about. Go get them. Welcome in, my guy. Welcome in. Thanks as always for being here. And last but not least, Philip. Happy Tuesday to you as well, my friend. Thank you for being here. And big day, Royals play the Yankees. Yes, yes. Noah Cameron gets a big spot today. He's got a big chance today. So that should be a fun one. All right. We will talk about 3 pitchers, and I will go through each of them. And then if there's any ones that we don't talk about, please feel free to put them in the chat and shout them out. And any other lines, looks, leans you want to cover or talk about, please feel free to put that in the chat. We will start with the lefty, Andrew Abbott. Somehow, and I'll explain what I mean by this, striking guys out at a 27.6% rate, walking guys at 8.9%. He gets the Guardians today at 6:40 p.m. Eastern time. The over, there's a difference in lines because a few books have a 5.5 with a highly juiced under, and a few other ones do have the opposite, which is a highly juiced over 4.5, which is what most of the majors have. So when I say somehow Andrew Abbott has his 4-seam fastball averages 92 miles an hour, and he rarely runs it up past 94. He doesn't have an overly he doesn't spin the ball like exceptionally well. It's okay, but his 4-seam fastball also only has 2,200 RPMs of spin, which is about 250 to 300 under what you would consider to be a high spin fastball. His sweeper is a little bit better, but it's still under 2,700, as is his curveball. And so this guy he doesn't have a lot of velo. He doesn't have a lot of spin, and he just doesn't overpower guys. So how is Andrew Abbott striking so many guys out? One word, 3 times over: location, location, location. And he has pinpoint accuracy this year. He also is working much more around the clock this year. So I've talked about this before. With his 4-seamer and his changeup, it runs up this way in the 10 to 12 range. His sweeper and his curveball run down here in the 2 to 5 range, and he works almost around the entire clock. Now, the other thing that Abbott has been very adept at doing is painting corners like crazy. He does this so well that what he ends up doing is teams that are going to take pitches, they put themselves in pitchers counts. And what Andrew Abbott has done this year on pitchers counts, and actually when you compare it to hitters counts, is incredible. Andrew Abbott is striking guys out at a 40.5% rate when he's ahead in the count on a hitter. Now, when he is behind on a hitter, he's striking guys out at 15.1%. So a big key for me is how often teams put themselves in a 0-1 or 0-2, 1-2, whatever you want to call it, hole, because Abbott does an exceptional job of painting corners and either getting guys to have bad swings that are like in bad spots in the zone, or taking them trying to get back into the count and then ultimately getting rung up. So the umpire can matter a little bit for Abbott just because he works and operates around the corners so much. For us today, especially if you're looking at, say, an over, is that we have Todd Tischner behind the plate. He's a decent umpire. There's not a whole lot. He's pretty neutral, so it's nothing to be overly concerned about. So we go to the Guardians lineup. And right now that is 2 lefties and 7 righties. The Guardians have a lot of switch hitters they can throw at guys. And as it always is when you're facing the Guardians, is 2 of the top 3. And in this case, it's projected to be Quan and Ramirez, are obviously very high contact, very low K guys, and both of them combined have 2 strikeouts in 16 plate appearances against Abbott. Now, none of them, the Guardians this year obviously, have not faced this version of Abbott, because the version of Abbott last year really attacked more in the zone and not around the corners. And the Guardians have struggled with pitchers who have painted the corners, specifically the bottom four in their lineup, whoever it happens to be. I've talked about this before about how the Guardians are a team where sometimes I like to look at the top three and just wait until afterwards because they're very low K candidates. We don't really have that today because against a lefty, what they've been doing is they've been running Lane Thomas in the 2-hole, and that's what's projected as well. And then Santana moves down to either cleanup or the 5-hole. So even still, Lane Thomas has no Ks in 7 plate appearances against Andrew Abbott. But as I've said, he has not faced this version of Andrew Abbott. Now, so what I'm looking for is I'm looking for guys who are going to take pitches because Abbott does operate in the zone 49.7%, which is above league average. And right now in this projected lineup, there is only three who swing above average in the zone. That's Fry, who I'm not even convinced will be in, Arias, who's a strikeout waiting to happen, and Martinez, who is projected to bat in the 9-hole. Everybody else for this Guardians team in the zone swings at or below league average. You combine this with Abbott being above average zone rate and having a solid first pitch strike rate and having a 40.5% strikeout rate when he gets ahead on hitters. You can see where I'm going with this. So even though you look at past history and you see Thomas, Kwan, and Ramirez, it'd be very easy to look at this one and say, okay, those three have struck out against Abbott twice in 25 plate appearances. Wow, I mean, that's an easy under, right? Well, Kwan takes, Thomas takes, Ramirez is average, Santana takes, Rodriguez takes, Naylor takes. All of them take. And of the guys that take, Kwan, Ramirez, and Santana are the only three that are above league average in zone contact. Furthermore, the stuff that Abbott gets you with is besides location, is his sweeper is probably his overall best pitch. And you do have guys on this Guardians team, Arias, Rodriguez, Naylor, Martinez, who are 6, 7, 8, and 9, all of whom have a 35% whiff rate or worse to the sweeper. So what I see from this is the only guys in this lineup that I have as a very low, possibly dead spot are Kwan and Ramirez. Now, the real question here becomes to me, do I want to do I want to pay up for the juice? Do I want to limit my unit size on the 5? I don't. If we get this lineup for the Guardians, and even if we get Thomas in the 2-hole, that's fine. I want to go on the over 5.5. I want to go. It might be a half unit. I'm not 100% sure that with Kwan, Ramirez, and Santana in, and Thomas, even though he's got a terrible zone contact rate this year, and it's overall below average for his career, I'm still 0 for 7 is enough for me to at least take notice. So I only have him for a 50-50. I have him for a half. But when I look at the rest of this lineup, Arias can easily be gotten. Rodriguez can easily be gotten. He's already gotten Naylor the only time he faced him. Naylor can easily be gotten. And Martinez can easily be gotten. Also, 3 of those bottom 4 are striking out to lefties at 26.5% or worse. So the guys you want to see in are, you want Arias, you want Rodriguez, you want Naylor, you want Martinez. Fry would be nice to have in there too. Obviously, it would be nice if Kwan or Ramirez sat, but even though Kwan's a lefty, I'm sure they'll bat him. I'm sure they'll lead him off. That's probably not going to change. But what you really want, though, is you want those guys that take pitches in the zone, because Abbott has become so adept at painting the corners with his fastball, which, again, it's not overpowering. It doesn't have velo. And when you don't have an overpowering fastball from a velo perspective, what you have to do is you have to have location, and Abbott has been laser locked this year. So if I'm taking this one, I'm just going to be totally real. I am going to go on the over 5.5, not the over 4.5. I'm going to throw the juice out the window and take the plus money. And I would rather have, with this lineup, I'd rather have a half unit on the over 5.5 and take the plus money and get close to what the same payout would be as if I put 1.55 or 1.6, whatever it is, units at risk to get one. To me, there's more EV in just taking the over 5.5. So Andrew Abbott, this has been a theme with the Guardians all season, is that you have Kwan and you have Ramirez. But then after that, I mean, and Santana, who is probably still going to be a lower K candidate, but every other spot in this lineup is gettable. And some of these guys are gettable more than once. Like, for example, Arias, his zone contact rate is under 70% and he hacks at everything. So he can be a multiple K candidate. Rodriguez takes in the zone a lot and has a zone contact rate 10% under league average. His chase contact is 27%, 27.8%. He can be gotten more than once. What I'm saying is, after you get past the initial top part of this Guardians lineup from a strikeout perspective, the rest of it really isn't that scary. And so I am strongly looking at an Andrew Abbott over. And if I do it, I'm going to take the 6+ and forego the juice on this over 4.5. And Mario saying Lane Thomas still in the IL, right? That's a good point. He's in both projected lineups. So I'm not 100% sure, but if he's not in, that's actually even better, because whoever else they could put in there, like if they put like Manzardo or somebody else in, that's even better. So that's a good point, Mario. All right, so that's Abbott. Moving on, we have my Jack Flaherty of this year, because I was all about Jack Flaherty last year, and I've been talking about this guy since training camp. He's been delivering, obviously. Mackenzie Gore, just a machine. 35.4% K percentage, 7.2% walk percentage, gets the Mets at Citi Field 710, and we have a over 6.5 at plus 100 and an under 6.5 at minus 135. Now, I have just come to not fade Mackenzie Gore. So for me, this is an over or nothing. And he's not quite Tarek Skubal, but he's really close. Mackenzie Gore doesn't have the same velo that Tarek Skubal does, although it's pretty reasonably close. He is a different pitcher, because Skubal goes mostly changeup slider as his secondary pitches. Gore has that nasty curveball. But from a fastball perspective, he can't run the velo up. But what Mackenzie Gore is doing so well, same thing that Abbott does: location, location, location. He's just painting pitches, and he's putting them in impossible spots for hitters. So he gets the Mets tonight, which right now the projected Mets lineup is 2 lefties and 7 righties, with the 2 lefties being Nimmo and Soto, who are the 2 that you would suspect. Now, if this is the lineup that they actually go with a pitcher like Mackenzie Gore, is that who has a zone rate of 48.2%, but he's also allowing zone contact of 77.2. So what I'm looking for is 2 things. Number one is I'm looking for zone contact, and I'm also looking for guys who chase, because with a pitcher like Gore, or it's kind of the same with like a pitcher like Jack Flaherty and a few others, is that even if you have a high chase contact rate, or higher than league average chase contact rate by a little bit, Mackenzie Gore makes you whiff. This curveball is just gross when it's working, to the point of he's allowing 41.5% contact in the when people chase. One of the best marks among all pitchers going today, and he has a 46.8% whiff rate for the curve. This curve is almost a traditional 12-6. It's a big sweeping curve that has a whole bunch of vertical drop, and does land typically in the 4 to 6 range on our clock, almost straight down. Now, the other thing with Gore's curveball is that it doesn't have a ton of spin. So some pitchers throw more snap curves that have a lot of spin and that bite away or or towards a hitter. Gore's is a little different in that it's got less spin, but it's got more vertical drop. It's also thrown at around average of 81.7 miles per hour. So it's this big, slow curve where after you've seen a steady diet of fastballs from him at 95.4 and he can run it up to 96, 97, then all of a sudden you got this big sweeping curve that comes in, and it just really messes with hitters' timing. And so that's how Gore is getting guys with this curveball. The other thing with the curve, I talked about how it drops. 54.4 inches of vertical drop. That's top 10% in all of baseball. It's also 3.4 inches above any comparable pitcher that throws a similar curve. So the curveball is just gross because of the change in speed, because of the change in location. I can't say enough nice things about Mackenzie Gore, because the other thing that he's not doing this year, which killed him last year, is he's also not walking people. Gore, he would try the curveball way too much last year to get guys to swing and miss, and would get behind in counts. And what he also didn't have enough confidence in was to operate around the corners and to try to paint corners with his fastball, and really to challenge guys with his fastball and just rear back and say, nope, F you, hit this, blow it by you. He has all of that this year. So Gore is averaging he's only averaging 2 walks per game, which is down by almost a full walk from last year. His walks line is set at a 2.5, heavily juiced to the under, so that's right about average. So I think this line overall is correct. So for me, I'm going to go to the Mets lineup, and if they're going to run a whole bunch of righties in this lineup, then if we go and take this 1 through 3, 4 through 6, and 7 through 9, we start with Lindor, Marte, and Soto. And so Lindor, decent zone contact, doesn't really chase that much. Soto takes pitches like crazy, and then Marte chases a good amount but has solid zone contact. So I do see 1.5 between these three. Soto is just put, and Soto, by the way, for all the contact that Juan Soto makes, Mackenzie Gore has struck out Juan Soto 5 out of 9 times he's faced him. The reason why is because when he gets in pitchers counts, Mackenzie Gore has almost a 50% strikeout rate. And Juan Soto just takes pitches like nothing and puts himself into pitchers counts continually and then tries to make contact. That's not going to work against Mackenzie Gore. So while he doesn't chase, Gore can just fire fastballs in there. So I have 1.5 from the top 3. Now, next 3, Alonso, Nimmo, and Mauricio. I have to put Nimmo down for 1, even though his zone contact is above league average. The reason being is because Gore just murders lefties, just absolutely torches them, almost 40% this year. Even though Nimmo has struck out 3 out of 15 times, this version of Mackenzie Gore just destroys lefties. Now, the other 2, Alonso does chase right about league average and has zone contact under league average, so I got to put him for 1. And then Mauricio in limited plate appearances has chased a ton. It's also chased a ton in his career, so that's another 1. So of these next 3, you probably got 2.5 to 3. So now we're at 5 already. Now, can you get 2 more from the bottom 3? Oh, you sure can. Taylor, with a 28.4% chase rate, that's above league average. Alvarez with a chase rate above league average, and Acuna with a chase rate above league average. There's a ton of chase in this at the bottom of this lineup. So if this is the lineup that the Mets want to roll out, I for sure see 7. I can possibly see 8. I especially can see that if Keibert Ruiz is his catcher for tonight, because while he has done pretty good with really anybody behind the plate, Ruiz is the guy that he feels most comfortable with. But if the Mets are going to run a lineup where 5 to 6 guys chase above league average, and then you have about 3 or 4 that are under league average in zone contact, there's 8 strikeouts out here. There really is. So I'm going to wait for the lineup because I'm not 100% convinced this is going to be the final one. But even on the road, it hasn't really mattered with Mackenzie Gore. So you're playing the over or you're playing nothing for this one. And that's just kind of going to be my take on Mackenzie Gore until, and God forbid, but until he starts to fall off, which I don't see happening. He is having one hell of a year. And if Mackenzie Gore pitched for a better team and his win-loss record was a little better, and like I said, he didn't play for the Nationals, like especially if he played in a bigger market, people would be talking about him pretty heavily for the Cy Young. In fact, I think there's a discussion we had on this show about a week ago where somebody had asked who's a good futures bet for Cy Young, and I said, even though I'm still not convinced that with the market he plays and the team he plays for, that he'll get like enough love to actually do it for the National League, Wheeler or Mackenzie Gore. But I am a huge Mackenzie Gore fan. So this is a clear over spot for me as well. And let's see. So Andrew joining, happy Tuesday to you as well. And yes, fun debate about Sale. Yep, you were right. You were right that he did. And if you're just joining, Andrew, I did say at the start, after the lineup was released and the change in line after the lineup release, we did play Sale in VIP. You said Baz might go crazy, and he should have. Yep. So, but speaking of going crazy, there is the potential in this lineup for Mackenzie Gore to do the same thing. There is, if they're going to put 6 guys who chase out here, Mackenzie Gore murks guys who chase. And you also have some really good past history with a number of guys who are almost guaranteed to be in this lineup. Like I said, one of them being Juan Soto, who he's gotten 5 out of 9 times. He's gotten Tyrone Taylor 4 out of 9 times. He's gotten Alvarez multiple times. So to me, there is 6 for sure in this lineup. Or there's 6 for certain. I see 7 almost for certain in this projected lineup. And if this is the order that they put it in, I can easily see 8. Also want to say a shout out and good morning to Eric. Thank you for joining. Thank you to you and Andrew for joining. Appreciate you guys being here. All right, we will close the 3 pitchers of the day. And again, if the pitcher you wanted to hear about or know about or talk about is not on this list, then please feel free to put him in the chat. We'll get to him at the end. Dylan Cease. I talked about how the Dodgers and the Padres were a lot of fun last night. I'm expecting a very similar type of game tonight, intense, back and forth. It was a lot of fun. As a baseball fan, even if you didn't have anything on it, it was just a fun game to watch. But Dylan Cease takes the mound tonight, striking guys out at a 29.1% clip, walking guys at 8.2%. He gets the Dodgers at 9:40 Eastern. And this one is set right about where I thought it was going to be. It actually opened at a 5.5 on every book except for FanDuel. And they quickly moved it up to a 6.5 plus 110 with a juiced under. Now, Dylan Cease against the Dodgers. So last year he did face the Dodgers 4 times, and he hit 7 strikeouts against the Dodgers, none of them. The Dodgers actually had figured they've actually got some decent history against Cease putting up runs. Now, that said, there are a few people in this lineup that Cease does have some decent strikeout history in against, because the Dodgers projected lineup right now is 5 lefties and 4 righties. And so when I look at the Dodgers across the board, there is ample history. And the guys that he has good history against, Teoscar 6 out of 14 times, Will Smith 6 out of 14 times. He's gotten Muncy 3 out of 9 times. But then a lot of the rest of the lineup, I mean, Betts 4 out of 12 isn't bad, but then you have like Shohei 5 out of 21, Freeman 2 out of 11. And a few other ones a handful of times. But with Dylan Cease, what you always want to look for with Dylan Cease is that chase. The reason being is because he does operate in the zone under 46% of the time. It's one of the lower marks. He has a tendency where if you're going to chase, he can just murk you up, or he can pitch himself right out of a game. Now, when we look at the Dodgers lineup, for obviously the big three, Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. You don't have a whole lot of chase up here. So Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman, none of them really chase that much. Freddie Freeman is about league average. So, I'm not convinced that there would be a whole lot of strikeouts to be had, especially when you look at past history. If he's got Freeman's got great history against him. Betts has done decent, and Ohtani has pretty good history as well. So you're probably looking at 1.5 between those top three. Will Smith, Teoscar, and Muncy would be next. Will Smith, he's got great history against Teoscar, and Teoscar does chase above league average. And you also have Muncy with below average zone contact, but also doesn't chase. So I'm counting on about maybe 2 between those guys. So now we're at about 3.5 maybe. So then the question is, can he get to the bigger number with Pegas, Conforto, and Edman? And what I'm seeing with those guys is Pegas does chase, Edman does chase, and Conforto is below average in chase and is okay when it comes to zone contact. So there's probably the potential for 3 here. So what I'm seeing for Dylan Cease is I am seeing 6. 7 I'm not 100% convinced about. I can see 6 for this one. I also see it because the Padres did lose last night, and I would expect a pretty raucous environment, a pretty raucous crowd. And Dylan Cease can be a guy who feeds off of the crowd. Now, if you watch Dylan Cease's last start, he did get stung in the hand at the very, very end of his start against the Giants, but he did stay in which actually got him to the over, which we were on, which thank the Lord, and did finish his start. He should be okay. The problem I have with this is that I'm going to need him to get Pegas, Conforto, Smith, one of those guys more than once, I think, to get to the 7 number. So I think that if you can put 6+ with something else, or even if you can get a decent price to just throw a unit straight up with no juice, something like that on the 6+, that to me makes more sense than trying to take a jump to 7, because a lot of guys in this Dodgers lineup are very, very patient. And it really balances out the guys that aren't. And if you're not going to chase against Cease, then it's really, really hard for him to rack up big numbers for strikeouts. So what I see from this lineup from a chase perspective is I see Teoscar, I see Edman, and I see Pegas as being guys who do chase a good deal. You have Freddie, who chases right about league average, but doesn't have good history. So if I take Will Smith's history into account, which I think you have to, you take Teoscar chasing, you take Pegas chasing, you take Edman chasing. I got four there. So then between Ohtani, Betts, Muncy, and Conforto, can he get 3, or can he get one of these guys more than once? I don't know. I'm not convinced at that one. So if I'm going to play Dylan Cease, what I actually might play for him is I might actually look at his outs under. Reason being is because right now on all the major books, it is set at 17.5. It's that middling juice one. And he has not, so I'll take the playoffs out of consideration because that's a different story because you get quicker hooks. Even in the regular season, he didn't go past the 5th inning in either of the starts. And with his propensity to just pitch himself out of games because he's trying to bounce that slider in there, there's enough patience in the rest of this Dodgers lineup where I'd actually have a lean. So I would go like a half unit, I would say, on the under 17.5 outs. Against this lineup with this offensive firepower and with the guys that are patient in this lineup being very, very patient, and the majority of the ones that are also good fastball hitters, which Cease has a decent fastball, but not an overpowering one. It's hard for me to see Dylan Cease going a full 6 innings in this game. So that's what I would look for with Cease. All right. We have Roger has a question about Cease. Would you go over 4.5 hits for Cease? Maybe. He's allowed I mean, it's about what he normally allows against them, 4 to 5 hits. If you're going to do anything, I actually might go over on earned runs. So right now you have the over 2.5 at plus 115. I think that, and it's at plus 105 on a lot of the majors too. Plus 115s on Caesars. I think there's more value in taking a shot on the over 2.5 earned runs than there would be on the over 4.5 hits, because a number of Dodgers have hit him for power as well. But my favorite look with Cease would be on that under 17.5 outs. He just the way he pitches, with the way the Dodgers, a lot of the Dodgers hit fastballs as well. And the way he just can bounce his slider in, because it's designed to make you swing way out of the zone and swing it on competitive pitches. And the guys that don't chase in this lineup just don't do that. There's just not enough for me to say, okay, yeah, like he's gonna pitch a gem and go past go 6-7 strong. So that would be my that would be how I would play Cease. All right. And let's go to, before we'll go to other looks here, other sides, other totals. And I see a couple, actually, I'd see 2 questions about it. So Pepio from Roger and Pepio from Mario. Yep, we'll talk Pepio in just a second. Wanted to say also good morning and what's up to Trying to Rob FanDuel. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining. And Philip, I'll get to your question about the Royals hitters in just a moment. But let's talk Ryan Pepio. So Ryan Pepio gets the Red Sox tonight. And the way that the line is set for this one, I expected it to be 5.5, but I expected the over to actually have a little juice behind it, not be the plus 110, plus 115 or whatever that it is, especially for a guy who's averaging 5 strikeouts a game. So the other thing that it makes me a little concerned. I don't know if it's going to take me off of it because I am looking at him on an over, because with the Red Sox, it's either over or nothing. They did drop his outs. And the concerning part about that is that so they dropped his outs from a 17.5 to a 16.5. The concerning part is not only did they drop it, but they also dropped it after he's had 18 outs or more in 6 straight games. And in fact, of 9 of his last 10, he's had 18 or more outs, and they drop him from a 17.5 to a 16.5. And not just a heavily juiced in the over 16.5, a very bettable over 16.5. So little concerning. His hits are also up 2 to 5.5, and his earned runs are where they normally are. So the outs to me normally says, when it's coupled with a strikeout prop like this, says one of 2 things. One, he's gonna spend a lot of pitches but have a bunch of strikeouts and not get past the 5th inning. Or 2 is that he's going to get torched. Now, the torched part, I'm not 100% convinced about, because the earned runs are still set as they were still set what they normally are. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of signs that says that Pepio is just going to get lit up tonight. But when I do look at this lineup, I mean, for a guy like Pepio, is this lineup kind of like with Boz, is that it is set up for him to potentially have some success. He operates in the zone 54.6% of the time. He's got a good fastball, and he only allows 80.8% zone contact. So the one thing that Pepio allows a lot of, though, is chase contact. So his chase stuff isn't very good. So he's going to have to get guys in the zone, and he's going to have to get them with his 4-seamer and with his changeup. So what I'm really looking for with this one is I'm looking for a whole bunch of whiff to the changeup, because that is the pitch. So the 4-seam fastball, when a guy doesn't have an overpowering fastball, like a Zach Wheeler or a Tarek Skubal or somebody like that, I don't put a ton of stock into it. Like 95 to 96 miles an hour, like MLB guys can hit that. So what I'm looking for in this lineup is if I'm going to go 1 through 9 here, Duran, Devers, Toro, I'm looking for some whiff percentage to the changeup, and obviously Devers has it. Toro is average, and Anthony the Kid, we don't know yet. Narvaez is projected to be back in the lineup, and he has a decent whiff percentage to it, as does Mares. Doesn't have enough at bats, and then Campbell and Rafaela. Campbell has a ton of whiff to it, and Rafaela's is above average as well. So I think that there's enough here where if you want to bet it now without a lineup and seeing how the line moves, over 5.5. I mean, is it my favorite play on the board looking at it right now, like just in a vacuum without lineups and everything, line moves and all, like all the usual stuff I use? No, it's not. But is it playable for, like, say, a half unit at plus money? Oh yeah, definitely is. Philip is asking, any Royals hitters you think have a shot at Fried tonight? Interesting. I'm not normally a hitters prop guy, but I do use obviously a whole bunch of hitters data and stuff to factor in if they're going to strike out. The guy, if he's in, that I would probably look the most to would be Canha. He's got the most plate appearances against Fried. He has a 278 batting average and has homered off of him twice, and also has 4 walks. So with his on-base percentage against Fried lifetime, I think that maybe like Canha total bases might be one that you can look at. Another, like a lot of these guys though don't have a whole bunch of history against him. A guy that I'm not really horribly interested in would be Pasquantino. Not only has he struck out 2 out of 3 times that he's faced Fried, but Fried has been pretty good in lefty-lefty situations this year, and I do expect Pasquantino to be in. Jonathan India has a little bit of success, but if I was looking at anybody, I would probably be looking at Mark Canha for a hitter's any guy. And what I would probably do is I'd probably look at total bases for Canha. I'm assuming that you can get that at like 1.5, like over 1.5 total bases is what I probably would look for, especially if you can get it at plus money. I have Kid Keon asking about thoughts on Giolito under K's. Well, he's been absolute dog shit recently, so I think that that actually, like it's not. If you're going to play that one, under would be the place to look for me. I can't trust Giolito at all. Looking at his line, I do see several books that are hanging a 4.5 with heavy over juice and a 5.5 hanging heavy under juice. If I'm going to do it, I would be more apt to take a shot on the under 4.5 at plus money versus paying minus 160 or 167 or whatever the hell the case might be. Like it's just got gross juice. But the books finally adjusted his outs. They have adjusted. It was hanging at 16.5 or 17.5. They brought it down to juiced on 15.5, which is actually where it should be, because he's just got very, very average stuff these days. And guys have really, really caught up to this version of Lucas Giolito to the point. I mean, obviously the Angels just beat the living hell out of him. But the other thing to look for is potentially the over 5.5 hits, because Giolito has allowed 6+ hits in 4 straight starts. And looking at this Rays lineup, you also have at least a few guys who have had a good amount of success against, or at least some success against him. So like Yandy Diaz has 4 hits, a homer, and 2 walks in 18 plate appearances against Giolito. You also have a few other guys that have had a couple hits here and there. So the hits might be one I'd look for, maybe the Rays team total over, but I just don't have a whole lot of faith in Lucas Giolito right now. So if you're gonna play him, I would play the under, and I would play the under 4.5. So shout out to Zimmy. Thanks so much for joining, my friend. Yep, 2-1 yesterday for VIP. New streak coming. Agreed. Streaks happen in MLB. It's great when you're riding the top of the wave, but then you gotta put up when the wave crashes down, and got to get back right up, which is what we're doing. So Philip saying Canha's a name I've seen, very underrated. Yeah, he is. just a veteran hitter, who goes out and does his job. I mean, there's nothing flashy about Mark Canha. He's not a guy that's going to make a bunch of headlines, but like I said, he's a veteran hitter, and he's got the most history against Fried, and he's actually got some pretty decent success against him. So, also saying Vinny's starting to become that guy, but yeah, against left-handed pitchers, yeah, he's lefty struggled. He's really struggled this year. He's had some spots where he's struggled lefty, and Fried has actually been pretty decent lefty versus lefty this year, to the point of I actually think that this is one of the better marks of his career for lefty. I mean, he's striking them out at 27.9% versus 22.7% for righties. He's got just really good number. He's allowing 187 batting average against lefties. Just a really good set of numbers against lefties. 10.62 Ks per 9 against them. Max Fried has done really well against lefties this year. Welcome in, Go Fi. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Or maybe that's Go F Yourself is what it stands for. But either way, welcome in, saying give me two pitchers. The two show ones we talked about. Abbott 6.5, Abbott 6+, or you can go 5+ if you're going to play it in a parlay. Abbott 5+, and Gore 7+, or if you want less risk on that play on a parlay, you can just go Abbott 5+, Gore 6+ in a 2-pitcher parlay if you want less risk. If you want more risk and higher payout, then Abbott 6+ and Gore 7+. And you can arrange that on your book however you want. If you want to go one higher, one lower, whatever the best price that you want to get. So that's what I always tell people to do when they want to play parlays, is that you can either take the lower number and have lesser and take a reduced payout potentially, or you can gamble a little bit more and take the higher number. I think that both of them in this case have the same value. I will say though, if the Guardians lineup is what is projected right now on RotoWire, if that's the lineup they run or something similar to that, I'm probably going on 6+, because I do see 6. All right. I think that there was just a few more. I did see that Berg says, just with the regards to Lane Thomas, we talked about it before, is that Lane Thomas did play yesterday. So I would expect him to be in the lineup and probably be batting in one of the top 4 spots. And one more, I don't think I got this one up there. Cover Kings has 1 unit on Tyler Mahle, returning to face one of his old teams, the Minnesota Twins, at over 17.5 outs at -115. All right. I think that'll do it for the other pitchers. Now, as far as other sides and totals for today, as you know, whenever I give out leans on money lines for MLB, it's always at plus money. I don't typically like to do anything when it comes to juiced money lines with MLB. So a couple money lines that are standing out to me today. We already talked about Abbott having a good start. So the Reds at even money. It has only if you can get it at plus money though. Even plus 100 is fine. But if it's juiced, I'm not so sure I like it. The Nationals at plus 132. I really do hope that they come through for Mackenzie Gore today, because he's had so many starts where he's just gone out and pitched his ass off, and then he just gets no run support. I think that there's a little bit of value on the Athletics at plus 125. And I think that might do it for money lines. So if you want 3 money line leans in order of how much I like them, is the Reds, the Nationals, Athletics, in that order. And then if you want some leans on totals, the Giants and Rockies. I know it's Coors Field, and I know, but under 11.5 or the Rockies team total under also could be a look there. And then the only other one that to me has some value would be I don't mind even, I mean, a little bit chalkier because of the pitcher, but I don't mind the under 7.5 for Nationals Mets. It kind of goes back to what I was saying. Gore gets no run support and he pitches his ass off. So the under 7.5 in New York is another one that I'm looking at. All right. I think that will do it to close the day. We'll talk one more time here about the VIP contest that was going on. Just to remind everybody, this is day 3 of 4. So there's today and there's tomorrow. And then we will draw on Thursdays. So want to give away a 2-week free VIP membership to 10 people. All you have to do, it's free to enter. All you have to do, there will be 2 posts on, there's 2 posts right now on X about the show each day, where it says live on YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. One from myself and one from Sosa Picks. All you have to do is like and reshare or repost both. You get 1 entry per, so up to a max of 4 per day. I'm going to put all the names. If your name's in there, if you have multiple drawing entries, then I just put it in the random name generator, like 6, 7, 10, whatever, however many you have, that many times. And so what ends up happening then is on Thursday, live, I'll project it on the screen. We'll draw 10 names, and those 10 will get a free 2-week VIP membership to Win the Day VIP, which is the VIP that Sosa Picks and I both run. And you get access to all the VIP content. You get early access to all the looks, all the leans, everything I talk about on this show. You get access to it first, and you get all the stuff that I put out. So free to enter. All you have to do is to like and share those posts. All right. One more time. We will go through the chat saying thank you. Thank you to Roger. Thank you to Cover Kings. Thank you to G Advent. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Mom Who Bets. Thank you, Kid Keon. Go get 'em. Philip, Mario, Berg or Kevin, Andrew, Eric, Trying to Rob FanDuel, Philip, Kid Keon. Go F you yourself, I think is what it means. Thank you to everybody for joining. If you haven't yet, please make sure to subscribe to the Daily Bread Network on YouTube, which is where all of our content is. Follow me at Spin Doc Sports, like and share the video. You also have a reason to now because you get a contest entry. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for everybody for putting up with the audio issues for the first time through. I don't know why I did that, but appreciate everybody who called it out. All right, best of luck with whatever you're tailing, and final day of the contest is back with you tomorrow with more free stuff. See ya.